Fired. All right, let's bring up our next guest. As I mentioned, played for the Birds, played with Barrett, does a really good job, man. And I tell everybody to check out his podcast. But the coach himself, Coach Markus, and the name of the podcast is Pro Fan Talk. Coach Markus, welcome to the show, man. Let's start with this. Where can people take a listen to the podcast, and when is the next fresh one out of the oven, piping hot, coming up?
I am every Thursday on A2D Radio on YouTube. So just like you get JAKIB Sports, A2D Radio, I've been doing it with them for almost a year now. So it's been good. Still try to make it grow. I'm also on RVN Television live every Thursday morning. There's a show called with Joe Silva called Morning Coffee at 7:30 a.m. So now I'll be doing that live in the morning. Then my regular show 7 p.m. at night. Every Thursday, and also doing my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ProFanTalk, trying to produce content every day, man. So keeping me busy, man.
Awesome, man.
Trying to catch up with y'all.
All right, and we can follow him, by the way, on Twitter @Coach_Markus with a K, MARKUS 06.
Yes.
All right, so that's where
06 meaning he's an alpha Phi Alpha.
There you
got it, bro.
There you
already know.
So Markus, so a couple things to hit here. Let's start with the Lane Johnson injury, the abductor. He will need surgery. We know that. He's going to put it off. He's gonna rest up. He's going to get about a month in between the last game, the Cowboys game, and then by the time hopefully if the Eagles get a bye, I should say, he get about a month off. Can he play with this thing? Can he get to the finish line with this if they get all the way to the Super Bowl, you think?
That depends on him, his tolerance for pain and everything that goes into that. Most of the reports, they were saying he had an abdominal injury. When you talk about abdominal and when you talk about adductors, ADD ductors, that's different. That's the inside thigh close to the point where your legs meet. That is not fun because every time you walk, when you try to lift your leg, that's your adductor. And it can be bad, and that's one of those things where you shoot it up so you can do what you got to do, and a lot of times it'll be worse for wear at the end of it. So he's got to be careful with it. Yes, he can play through it. Let's just hope that the after effects aren't that bad.
And I'm worried about that one. I am worried about that one. That's for sure. All right. So then the other one that the Eagles are dealing with is Vontae Maddox, who unfortunately they're calling it a serious toe injury. And we saw Josiah Scott have a tough time out there. Is it more on the Eagles to adjust here, to do some things differently here? Is it more on Josiah to figure this thing out?
It's a little bit of both. You got to try to protect the kid. I call it the Josiah Scott experience. It was bad. It started off bad. It got a little bit better. Then it went bad again. I think he's a talented kid. I just think mentally he's not ready yet. He's still thinking on what to do on the field. And when you out there, you can't think. You got to just know where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, everybody's second nature to you.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that 3rd and 30. But if you looked at that play, Josiah Scott was a step too late. And that step made the difference. He looked like he was in position where he could have made a play for the ball if he would have been there a step earlier. And this is a game of inches. That half a second that you hesitate or that half a second that you're late can make all the difference in the world. So he's got to get his mental game, but it's one of those things where you're not going to get that until you play. So he's got to take his lumps. I just hope all of those lumps don't come at our demise. You know what I'm saying? So he'll get there. He's had some ups and downs. Let's just hope he's in the film room. And because that comment that Slay said, to me, that sounded like something coming from the film room where somebody was like, I know where I'm supposed to be or something like that. That sounded like that might have been a little bit spillover of a conversation that happened in the film room. I could be wrong. That's just a guess. But Slay hasn't usually came out with saying stuff like that. I thought that was very odd.
Well, at that point, it's just like you said, it was bad, then it got better, and that's only because he was taking starting reps. And when you take those reps, now you see what you're supposed to do, how you fit in the scheme work, how the framework of what they're trying to do defensively helps you. It's a lot different from when you're a young guy sitting back and looking at it happen while you're standing in practice.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, when you watch it, you're not out there really doing it, but then you go over there and run somebody else's defense on scout team.
Right.
And that's the difference between he'll be out there with the ones and they're going to be coaching them up right there doing the stuff that they see on film. I tend to think that, they might go back to the same defense they ran against the Bears and really have Kayvon Wallace a lot more because they do run the ball so much.
It's possible, but they better do something, because going forward, if you're playing the Eagles and you see Josiah Scott out there, you would be crazy not to attack him.
Yeah.
Until he proves he can handle it, and he hasn't been able to do that yet. That's been our Achilles heel all year. That short to mid, across the middle, that stuff has been killing us all year. You look at the Green Bay game. The young boy went across the middle and ended up taking
Christian Watson.
Yeah. So we've been getting killed with that all year, and he was just outclassed against CD Lamb, and it showed. So going forward, teams are going to watch that tape and they're going to scheme and shift and maneuver based on formation, try to put their best guy to where Josiah Scott is lined up and try to take advantage of that matchup, and they should.
Yeah.
So Marcus, take me through the mindset of a young player who's playing on a defense that has played extremely well for much of this year. You had a bad moment, which changed the complexion of a big game on national TV. You get put on blast by one of your mentors. You've got to watch this film all week long about the corrections you need to make. Take me through the mindset of what's swirling through his young mind as he gets ready for an important game this coming Sunday against the Saints.
That's a loaded question, because that's not a person thing. That's a personality thing.
Right.
You don't deal with people, you deal with personalities. So if he's got that dog personality, like, all right, y'all got jokes, I'm going to show you a little something this week. If you have that type of personality and you like, okay, you got me, you recognize it, you acknowledge what happened, and then you learn from it, and then you keep it moving. But you got to get better from what you see. I always say, be better than yesterday, not as good as tomorrow. So you got to be able to look at the film and take advantage and learn from their mistakes and get better from it. That's what we need to see out of him. You can't duck. The big eye in the sky don't lie. You guys know, if it's on tape, like, dude, you can say what you want to say. It shows what you did or did not do. So you got to be better at it, and he's got to have the wherewithal to say, I already know they're coming. I got to be ready to let them know, if you're going to do that, that's going to be bad for business for you.
Marcus, how about the amount of takeaways that they had early in the season versus what's happening now? They were plus 15 the first 9 games. Last 8 games, they are -6. So that plus 15 was first in the NFL. That -6, where they are turnover differential, is last in the NFL, and they've turned the ball over themselves 14 times during that stretch. And that includes 7 in the last 2 weeks. Is this lack of concentration? Is it some bad breaks that happen along the way? How do you account for this?
It's always a little bit of everything. I would say it's more of not having Maddox and not having Gardner Johnson back there, because you got that experience and you got fellas that was playing at a high level. And on top of that, everybody been watching tape. They know what our weakness is. They know what our attack us. But everybody gets exposed to that. Every team gets exposed to that. But we had the experience and the play from Gardner Johnson, from Avonte Maddox, that was kind of picking up that slack. Now we don't. So everybody's going, you're going to look for the chinks in the armor and you attack it. And I think that's what's been happening. The play with Slay, where he got caught looking inside and they went to, the 3rd and 30 play, he got caught. The other team gets paid too. So those things are going to happen every game. We just have to minimize those mistakes. I think somebody said that earlier. When you give up 20 points on turnovers, but more importantly, I expected that from Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew played above and beyond what I could have ever expected. But what killed me was, as well as the defense played, the opportunities they had to get Dallas off the field, they couldn't take advantage of. That 3rd and 30, 2 sacks in a row, but we can't recover a fumble. We get the sack on Dak, but we can't get him down, so he gets the ball off. All of those plays ended up, I believe they were scoring drives.
Yep,
those are
exactly.
the opportunities we have to take advantage of. Always watch the games going forward, because the closer you get to the playoffs, you see this all the time. You watch those games where the defense drops a pick or they make a mistake, and that was the one opportunity to turn the tide in the game, and they didn't take advantage of it. Then the other team scores, and whatever happens, happens. We can't let those opportunities fall by the wayside. If we get a pick, get your hands on the pick, get the ball, secure the ball, whatever you got to do. If we cause a fumble, get on the fumble. I'm jumping up and down in my TV room doing backflips when we got that sack and we can't even recover the fumble. So we got to take advantage of those opportunities, because those were scoring, stopping plays, and we let it continue.
How would you go forward with Lane Johnson being out? Would you keep Jack Driscoll in on the right side, or would you move Jordan over, Mulatto over, and play Dillard? How would you approach that?
I would keep Driscoll where he's been. You got 2 weeks to figure out what you got. In practice, I would line him up across from Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat every play, and it was like, y'all give him the business all week, because we got to do whatever we got to do to get him ready. Mm-hmm. He's had, again, some highs and some lows, but I don't think you change everything up because that happened. He's been practicing. He's the backup. So they're the ones that are saying next man up. So guess what? The proof is in the pudding. So you got to step up. What did they say in the movie? If you can't keep up, don't step up. So he's got to be ready to put that anchor down on that right side and do what he has to do. We all know he's not bad run blocking. Pass blocking, that might be another story. But he's in there. He's what we have to deal with. So let's see what we got. Now, if it doesn't turn out well, now you got another game to make an adjustment. And then, depending on what happens, are we going to get that first week bye in the playoffs? So you still got a little bit of time to play with. So let's figure out what we want to do now. But as of versus the Saints, put him in at right tackle, the place he's been playing all year, and let's see what he's going to do.
Marcus, what if Driscoll struggles during a game and all of a sudden the coach decides to start shifting people? You know, put Mulatto on the right side, bring Dillard in. Doesn't that affect continuity to a certain point in the middle of a game? Yeah.
But I don't think that I think they've already talked about that possibility. So in my opinion, if a coach has to do things like that, at some point in time that has been discussed. So at least they know that possibility is real. They don't expect it to happen, but if it does, like, okay, we were ready for this, we talked about it, let's keep it moving. So if they have to do that, they can do it. I trust Dillard to get in there and do what he's got to do. Jordan to go to the other side and handle his business. I trusted him to do that. I hope they don't have to, but it is what it is, and you make the adjustment when you have to make the adjustment. Sirianni has not been high on my list for adjustments. I was, as Barrett says, I was hot as fish grease watching that Chicago game, because Nick Sirianni is from my neck of the woods. I'm from Cincinnati. He's from the middle of Ohio. He knows what cold weather is. And for him to go out and trying to throw in the ball early like he did in Chicago in 20-degree weather, to me, that wasn't a smart decision. So I look at stuff like that, and my concern is going forward that we won't come across a better team. We'll come across a better coach. That's what I'm worried about.
Oh,
that's a little different. Who scares you the most?
San Fran?
Yep.
Because San Fran, with all of their injuries, I don't know what D'Amico Ryan is feeding them boys.
That's right.
And again, not that their defense is better than our offense, but the one thing you notice right off the bat watching San Francisco, them boys play physical football. And the aforementioned Quez Watkins issues, those DBs are coming up, hitting you, letting you know they are there. And that's what we haven't, in my opinion, we haven't come up against a defense that is as physical as San Fran yet.
I'll tell you the other thing.
Marcus, I'm glad you said that, Marcus, because everybody we have on this show has said the same thing about the 49ers, except your colleague, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks,
absolutely, because
he doesn't think the 49ers will be a problem for the Eagles. And I'm saying, and I've been saying,
I'm not saying they're not going to be a problem. I'm saying that they are a good defense, but I just think we have better players on offense to combat that. I do think that we have played against physical guys. I think that when you look at a team like even the Giants are a physical team because they lack so much in athleticism that they're a physical caliber team. Another team that I think is physical is when you look at it was that Detroit team. That Detroit team was a physical type of team. You know, they play against physical guys, and they've won against physical teams. I just think our offense and our offensive line, especially when we get Lane back, will be a lot more physical and can play with them, you know, step for step, player for player, because of how our offense rocks with the read option, the RPOs, and things of that nature.
Yeah, Barry, but the only reason Barry, you're right. They did play a physical brand of football, but they didn't play. There's a different level of physicality when you talk about the 49ers. Those teams you mentioned, they don't have a Javon Kinlaw. They don't have an Arik Armstead, a Nick Bosa, a Dre Greenlaw. They're Fred Warner, who I've said time and time again to me is the best inside linebacker in the game today. That's a little bit different physicality compared to what you're talking about the Eagles have faced.
There's one guy that really makes me think about things, and that's Bosa. Now, Bosa is a monster. He's the best defensive player in the NFL to me right now. Do we have something that could combat him? We have somebody that can go tit for tat with him.
Yes.
Guy's big and strong. He'll play against. But, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. That'll be a clash of the titans. That'll be war. You know what I'm saying? But after that, yes, we're going to play against one of the better linebackers in Davis this weekend.
Yep.
Talking about tit for tat. You know, you look at their linebackers are just as good as San Fran's linebackers. The guy that I think that will make the most difference, that could make the most difference, is a Bosa. You're right. Bosa is everything and that much more in a pass rusher. Have we went against a guy like Bosa? Parsons is the closest I could say we could put against him. And, I think we fared well against Parsons. You know what I'm saying? I think we'll fare well against. But, the effort that we get from a Bosa, along with the physicality and technique, that's where things, get a little shady. But everywhere else, I think we're good. Even with their safety, who's I think has the best safety in the league right now. I can't even say his name. But he's the closest guy I've seen to play like Troy Polamalu.
Yep, Polamalu 2.0. That's what I call him.
Yeah.
Yep. But you're right. I'm not worried about the defensive line because I think if and when that comes, Jalen Hurts will be back in. So, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts is the great equalizer in a situation like that. If you get moved 4 times, he's going to get away from you too. So, he's the great equalizer. I'm specifically Barrett talking about that defensive secondary. It just seems to me like when I watch San Francisco, them boys coming up and they are laying the hats and they are playing a very hard physical brand of football. Not that we can't take it. Not that Devontae Smith hasn't proved at his size.
And he has, though.
The best of them.
He has.
Right.
He's a tough kid. Tough.
And this Niners defense has been playing thug football when they're not healthy. They just started getting healthy the last couple of weeks. So for the last 7 weeks, they've been holding opponents to 17 points or less, and they're not healthy yet. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not disrespecting this Eagles offense one bit, but I'm just saying I think you're overlooking what this 49ers defense has been doing. I'm not afraid of the 49ers, but I'm just saying don't underestimate these dudes, man. These boys are like the brawl. They don't. Hey, Marcus, it's one thing to play football. These dudes brawl. There's a difference. These dudes ain't playing football, man. These dudes taking it to Knuckle Junction, man.
They are laying the wood, man. They bringing back them Ronnie Lott type of hits, man.
Yes.
And it's impressive because with the way they calling penalties and stuff like that, I didn't think we would see stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to play that way now.
Not from a secondary because you look at we got some hard hitters, but collectively, Slay's not bringing the wood to nobody. Gardner Johnson's not bringing the wood to nobody. The only people that's bringing the wood in our secondary is Epps and Blankenship.
Yep.
Bro,
yes.
I always got to counter what you're talking about. Name one DB that wants some static with A.J. Brown. Name one DB that wants some static with Dallas Goedert. Bam.
Those good points. Good points. But all it takes is coming across that middle at the wrong angle one time. So
I'm one secondary. There's one secondary that will lay the lumber. I don't care who they playing against, and that's the secondary in the Bay Area.
They don't care who they
play against. It's one guy in the secondary. Ward is not hitting anybody. He's a cover guy. No, it's one guy with 29. Hold on, let me look. I gotta look his name up now. Now, see, y'all get me fired up again. Rob, why they always doing this to me, Rob?
They like to just get you
Rob,
going,
why
man.
they always doing this to me, man?
It makes for better conversation. Makes for better conversation.
I'm going to learn his name just because you guys right now, I'm learning his name.
I was going to say, I can give it to you if you want it.
What's his name? Taunio?
Yeah.
Ufunga.
Talanoa.
He could be landing Funga.
Talanoa
Ufunga.
USC. He's from Troy's college.
Yes, and look, and right now, Jimmy Ward ain't letting a hat on nobody. Shavarius Ward ain't laying a hat on nobody. I'm telling you right now. Lenore ain't laying a hat on anybody. The only guy that's laying a hat is Ufunga. He is going to lay a hat. Everybody else is just cover guys. They don't have a thug secondary. Now, they got some thugs in that front seven. Mm-hmm. They got guys that come in and work, wear a hard hat every day with their lunch pails. Yes, they going to come out and they go to work. I get that. But I got 5 guys up front that bring their lunch pail and their hard hat to work. And they bring some funk with you, too. Yes,
we stirred that hornet's nest. Look at that.
Unreal.
We got that hornet's nest.
Well, let's just do this. Let's just take care of business this weekend. Yeah. So we can worry about bringing the lunch pail instead of sending everybody to the nurse's office. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that first.
I like it.
You know, and I've been watching these. I've been watching some people in the text crawl. These fans in the text crawl. Y'all need this. All y'all fans watching in the chat, stop watching the ESPN media heads. They don't watch games. They watch highlights. Right. They get somebody sticks a piece of paper in front of their face with a bunch of stats on them, and most of their comments are based off those stats. They don't watch games.
Marcus, do what I do.
I get so sick of hearing about power rankings and all of that kind of stuff. Power rankings ain't got nothing to do with us getting out there and Miles Sanders getting 5.2 yards a carry or Jalen Hurts scoring 35 touchdowns. That ain't got nothing to do with that. We line it up on the field. You snap the ball and let's see what's what.
Yep.
Well said.
Exactly.
Well said. All right. Marcus, we appreciate it, man. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate you, bro.
Man. Thanks for hopping
Always appreciate talking to you.
And again, check out
anytime.
Be
gone. I will send you some video when I put this smoker together.
There you go.
You got a smoker? What you got?
I got that master built 1050 gravity fed.
Marcus is coming for you, Derrick. He's coming for you, man.
Oh, dude, come on, man. You better recognize.
Challenge accepted. Woo. Challenge accepted.
I smell a challenge. I like it.
I've done a 12-hour, 18-pound brisket before. Don't mess with me.
Hold up now. You got to wait now. Look, don't get too far ahead of yourself because you got a ways to go. You want to step up now. When you start talking about you got a green egg, a Traeger, a Blackstone, a flat top, and a charbroiled infrared, then you come see me. Now,
charbroiled infrared. What is going on?
You don't need all of that. You can have all of those things and still burn the ribs. Stop playing.
I ain't burn nothing. Hey, I got witnesses. Yeah, but see, you know what? I got witnesses. That man right there tell you them ribs legit. He can't. He can lie on me about a lot of things.
Hey, but they say real recognize real, D-Gun, especially on
my grandson tried to fight me with my ribs. I had an elbow a little bit. Get your grandson. I told him, get away from me trying to take my ribs.
He was boxing you out.
Yeah, man.
Oh man.
Marcus, good stuff, man.
I can't wait to see some of your stuff on the
send it to us, man.
For sure, man. I will definitely do that
on social media, man.
Absolutely. We're on it. All right, Marcus, thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Be good, bro.
You got it, man. That is Markus Thomas. Again, excellent podcast on the Pro Fan Podcast. You got to check it out. It's really, really good. How about that? He's coming for you, Gunner. You know what I mean?
Hey, dog, he just came at you like
challengers, man. They're throwing their hats in the ring. They want a piece.
Every day, somebody. Who this dude here? D Gun Ribs, a nickname Josiah Scott. I see you bleed green. That's right. Keep talking, bro. You'll never know. Keep talking. The proof is in the pudding. It's already out there. You keep talking. You got your 15 seconds. I mentioned your name. Okay. All right.
All right. Let's get a timeout. We'll come back. We'll dive into the NFL, man. There's a lot going on around the league, which we'll get into, including Defensive Player of the Year, AFC rankings. Guess who's back officially? We'll dive into all those kind of things when we come back. Derrick Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis, we're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you now about Razor technology and disaster recovery, because in the middle of an emergency is the wrong time to wonder who is in charge and how to respond. Restoring malfunctioning systems, rebooting complex servers, and reconfiguring applications. Also bringing up backup files online and reauthorizing users all takes time. And the longer it takes, the more damage that a business is exposed to. Razor Technology helps growing businesses develop a disaster recovery plan that protects all of their essential data. Razor ensures all your critical systems are backed up and that the backups are regularly checked to ensure that they can be deployed at a moment's notice. Depend on Razor Technology, your trusted IT managed service partner, to save time and money on your IT and cloud services. Find out if your business is built to recover from a data disaster by calling Razor Technology today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Go for the beers